All right, let's get started here. Can you hear me, Janitra? Hey, how you doing? Welcome to week 4. It says week 3 on the slide. I apologize, it's supposed to be week 4. You're good? Good. I thought I opened up the wrong slide, but I actually do have the right slide. Let me double check here real quick. This was actually in my folder of my week 4 folder, but I want to make sure I have the right slide. Week 4. Let's see. Yep, that is the right slide here. So just kind of ignore the week 3, it should say week 4. All right, well, welcome to week 4 live lecture 1. A lot of you guys, I actually put an announcement yesterday about this. There's still a lot of late work that I'm waiting back. Either you have submitted it but didn't submit it quite the proper way, or missing some elements, or missing everything. So just make sure you're getting that in before Saturday, before midnight. I am unable to accept any late work past that time frame because the course closes and grades need to be submitted. But I am willing to, since there's a lot of you who have kind of have a lot of late work still due, I'm going to kind of waive the late penalty, kind of give you some flexible extension, so that you can at least get some credit for that. You know, it's always not the best way to go about it because you're trying to, make up for lost time, and you need that time for your processes. But, I do want you guys to succeed in this class, and I want to give you that extra extension to hopefully get your stuff in. So make sure you're reviewing the live lectures every week. I do a step-by-step demo for each project. So make sure that you're reviewing that for clarification on a lot of things that we're going over. There's a lot of stuff that we went over in this class. So it's super important to kind of go through, even though it's a 2-hour lecture, to go through each lecture so that you're not wasting the time. There's sometimes you think, I don't need to watch the lecture, and then you get into your project and you spend like 4 or 5 hours where you could have been spending like 1 or 2 hours because you're stopped on many of the issues that, that I kind of showed you how to resolve in the demo. So make sure you're definitely checking that out. Oh, these have dates on them too. Geez, this is all over the place. All right, so just make sure that you guys are submitting your work by this Saturday. That is the 13th. Before midnight. It is Tuesday today, so we will have a open multi-session I will have tomorrow. So if you have any questions, need any extra help, I will be logged in. It's definitely not mandatory. It's just for you guys if you want to come in and if you have any questions and need extra help. All right, so last week, I don't know why these slides are not updated. I apologize. This should be welcome, Luz. This should be assignment 4, but carrying on from assignment 3, so it kind of makes sense in that regards. But basically, we're just going to demo the rest of the newsletter. We went over last time we met up, we went over the first page and the number 4th page, and now we're going to go kind of review the 2nd and 3rd page for the inside spread. Before I get started, do you guys have any questions, concerns, anything that you want to talk about? Okay, looks like you guys are good. I'm going to take that as no questions. So let's go ahead. If you do, just chime in there in the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and click on the week 4 objectives. This is you guys have a lot of objectives this week that you guys should be walking away from this week. Define how InDesign is used in the field and describe 5 scenarios of when it would be used. So we're going to be doing that in discussion. We'll take a look at that in a second. We're going to implement correct usage of master pages. We started that last week with your folio, so we'll kind of carry through today with that. Define and apply a grid system to a page layout. Super important. Everything needs to be aligned, especially when you have a lot of information and a lot of elements on your page. You know, that's so true for websites because of that too. So a grid structure is super important to organize that information so it's easy to follow. Apply InDesign's text frame properties to create and link columns. Define the difference between layers and stacking order in InDesign interface. Identify and match 10 basic tools to the description of their use. Identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions. Create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. Identify and apply the 4 basic principles of design. So you have your CRAP. Always, that's kind of like reiterated in every class, it seems like, right? Define and apply the 5 basic elements of design. So you have shape, line, color, texture, and value. These things are the fundamentals and the basics that you guys should always kind of be aware of as you start any type of project. So this week you will combine all you have learned this mod to create your finished newsletter. Style sheets and master pages will give you a consistent platform from which you can utilize the principles and elements to create a well thought out, well-designed layout. You can definitely check out the little video there. And don't forget, in your modules folder section, you guys have the course media page area that gives some excellent supplemental material. I always kind of like to remind you guys of this, that this is in here. There is actually a required lecture that you guys will need to watch for week 4 this week using grids. So we're talking about how grids are important. Here's an article about that. There's also create ruler guides, you know, what the purpose of them is. And then you have all of the videos here in regards to the lynda.com talking about layout composition, beyond the essentials, scale, symmetry, asymmetry. So it's a great review of that as well. All right. With that being said, too, I just kind of want to remind you, since it's week 4, not only do you have a discussion, you also have your career integration quiz. So that's kind of the reflection of this class. You're asked questions specifically to this course. Just try to answer substantially, very specifically to this course. You know, talk about maybe the projects that you like the most, maybe the least, kind of explain, you know, in your own words, you know, substantially answer each of those questions. That gives us a really good idea of maybe how we need to change certain projects maybe in a class, or, you know, even how I actually teach in a class. I mean, not so much negative feedback from you guys, but just kind of objectively hearing back, you know, what works, what doesn't work. All right. Also, so there's a discussion and there's also a career integration. So make sure you're getting that for the 15 points, you know, it kind of all adds up. The discussion this week, let's go ahead and check that out. Most of you, there's some of you guys that are starting this. So we're just basically going to look at, you know, InDesign and it's the role that it plays in the industry. But we're also going to look at a list of mobile apps that are available that you might want to definitely take a look at. And they're all the ones that are compatible with InDesign. And so what you're going to do, and I'm going to read this prompt here. You can read the background information. You have now had the opportunity to utilize InDesign and create several projects. What you're going to do is check out this list of mobile apps. So you're going to click on this link, paying close attention to those that have InDesign as a companion software. And then for your initial post, you're going to choose one of the mobile apps listed and describe what it does and how it integrates with InDesign. Okay, so then describe how you could bring the two together and what type of project it creates. Will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you an advantage in obtaining work in the industry? Why or why not? And don't forget, so you need to add your citation. So for your citation, you can find articles from experts that suggest how using InDesign and current Adobe apps is changing the face of graphic design industry today. And just make sure you're hitting upon all the requirements as well as the initial post requirements. So you're going to basically click on this link here, and you're just going to read through. And this is kind of neat because you get to read about, you know, the apps that are out there right now. So you're going to go down here and read, and these are some of the apps that are compatible with InDesign are the ones, see this little ID favicon right here? It's pink. So what you're going to do is you're going to read through this, and any of the ones that have the little ID favicon are the ones that you're going to choose from, okay? Because those are the ones that are more compatible with InDesign. So it would be Adobe Comp CC, and what you do is you just click on that, the actual app itself. It's going to explain what it's for, how it works with InDesign as well. Okay, so you can definitely check that out. So that would be one app that you can look at. Let's see what else. Ooh, might be the only one. Let's see. I think there's another one. Looks like these are all pretty much. Is it just that one? There was this must have changed. Oh, Adobe Capture. We just looked at that. Oh, Adobe Capture and Comp CC. So those are the two you guys have to choose from. I think there were more before. This has changed since the last time I had taught this class. And you know, apps are always changing. So, you know, it's like whatever's out and being shown on here. All right. So if you don't want to do the, when we look at the Comp CC, you might want to take a look at the Capture CC. This also has a companionship with the ID software program. So I'm going to read through this, learn about how it works, what it does, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to answer the prompted questions here. So then describe how you could bring the two together and what type of project it creates. Talk about, you know, it doesn't have to be something that's real. You know, you can just describe of what project you think you could use it with. And then talk about, will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you the advantage in obtaining work in this industry? Why or why not? So you're kind of, you know, being objective about it. And then the articles from experts. You can also look outside of this link. You know, just because this was given to you guys doesn't mean that's the only place that you can find this information. If you're really wanting to learn more and you can't find it, so okay, you want to talk about Adobe Capture CC, and this information is, you know, you can watch a video here too. But say you kind of want more information about this, and maybe experts are talking about it too, giving their feedback about it. Just go ahead and search Adobe Capture CC reviews or design reviews. That should give you some great, maybe supportive citations to use to support your perspective. And then don't forget to respond to 2 different peers on separate days, kind of challenge maybe what they're talking about, give them another perspective. You know, so just make sure you're kind of hitting upon those requirements. Any questions about that? So it's kind of a neat way to kind of see what's out there as far as the apps are concerned, how they work with the other software. And you can click on the other. It doesn't mean that you can ignore the other ones. You can definitely check out the other ones since it's pretty short information. It's pretty short and sweet, just to kind of see what's out there and just be relevant to what's out there today. Excuse me. Okay, so that's your discussion. Don't forget to post that before the initial post before tomorrow evening, before midnight Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to click on the assignment for week 4, and then we'll go ahead with our demo here. All right, so basically what we're going to be doing, and you can read through the background here. I'm going to go right to the prompt. So for this assignment, you'll be continuing the work you began in week 3's assignment. You're going to duplicate the file you created for week 3's assignment and rename it for this week. Make changes and revisions suggested by your instructor in critique or in class from the 2 pages you did in week 3's assignment. Download the articles and photographs below if you have not already done so for week 3. You must use all of the text provided. You must use all of the photos provided. And if you need to adjust your style sheets upon adding the actual elements, you may do so, but make the changes within the style sheets themselves. You know, so for instance, if you need to change your subheads, just make sure you're changing the subheads style sheet so that it's consistent on every page. So wherever you're using that subhead or body copy, it's all consistent. You're encouraged to follow the general layout from the example so you can focus on learning the tools. I noticed some of you guys had ones that are your final files were very off of what the example was, and I don't expect it to be a perfect match, but I do expect you guys to look at the example provided so you can kind of look off of that and kind of say, okay, I need to adjust the type here, it should be down here, and like, you know, the subhead should be closer together, and just kind of eye it up. You know, of course, you don't have the specs for that, so you're not going to be perfect, but at least you're getting it as close as possible. When you're finished with your design, create a package folder. We had some issues with that with some of you guys. Be sure that a quality screen resolution PDF is included in your package. You're going to zip the package folder and submit the zip file. Now, I've done a demo in each week on how to properly package your file and also zip it, but if you're still having issues, just let me know. Download the Student Matters newsletter assets here. And again, this is all that was provided to you last week. But if you want just a quick way to get there, you can click on that link to gain access to that. Now, there are some of you that are zipping and packaging and zipping your files, and I cannot open them for some reason. If you ever get an email from me or a message saying, you know, I can't open your zip file, go ahead and send it to me through email. Sometimes it gets kind of weird with submissions through Canvas. I've had that where you're doing everything you should be doing right, but for some reason it's not uploading. It's uploading, but I'm not being able to open it. So kind of my suggestion, if that happens and you get a message from me, just email it to me, as I think sometimes that's a workaround. I don't know if it's just like the file name or the size of the file, but we can kind of work around it. Any questions about what is expected for this week, for week 4? You will have an assessment for, but it is a quiz, so we'll take a look at that after we're done doing this demo here. Does anybody have any questions from last week's work before we get started into the demo? No, you guys are easy. So hopefully you're in a good spot, because once you get started on this newsletter, you have your some of your style sheets and character styles kind of set. This part may become a little bit more, I guess, quicker, more efficient if you have everything set right. So I'm going to share with you, this is the file that you guys were given in your assets folder. This is kind of what you worked on last week. So, kind of look off of this as an example. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as what you have, but try to get as close as you can. The only thing that I have a problem with this example is it's not showing you with spreads selected. So what I want you guys to do at the end of this demo, I'm going to show you how to set it up for spreads for PDF viewing. See, right now it's kind of viewing page after page after page. What I want to see is the first page and then the second and third page, almost like a double page spread, and then the last page in the PDF. And I'll show you how to do that. All right, with that being said, this is page 2 that you're working on. Just kind of be mindful of where the page number is also. I saw some of you guys kind of mix this up where you had maybe the page number start on the left side and the magazine name on the right side. So make sure the number 1 page, you always want the page number to be on the outside. It's hard to see here because it's not set up like printer pages, but this is the outside, so the page number would be on the right on the first page. On the second page, it would be on the left, and the third page, it would be on the right. And then this page, it shouldn't have any folio because it's a mailer. It's kind of a mailing setup, so you don't really need that at the bottom. So just kind of pay attention to that. So we're going to be working on this page here, get more out of your study time article. And then also page 3, which is a double page spread article. So it's going to continue on with page 3 with a little pop out highlighted piece about healthy snacking. All right. So let me go ahead and open up my kind of where we stopped the lecture before. Share my stuff here. I'm going to reset my essentials. We're all good there. All right. So this is kind of where I was. See how I actually adjusted this a little bit. The copy did run up on the right-hand side of the image. If you're doing that to better match, you know, what's being shown in the example, don't bring your copy box up too much up here. What I would do is, you know, you need to kind of put a text wrap around here, and I didn't show that the last time, so I'm going to show you how to do that before we get into the other pages. So if you have copy that's kind of too close or maybe behind, see how my copy is behind there? What you need to do is put a text wrap on this image. So you're going to select that image, and there's two ways to get to this text wrap. There's either go up to Window and go to Text Wrap to get the panel box up, or, and I don't know if you guys can see this without me sharing my, let me quit my mail here. Stop sharing, and I'll share my desktop so you guys can see my full screen here. Right up here in your presets panel is the same access to your text wrap, okay? So there's two ways usually to get to everything. If you're doing the text wrap panel, all you need to do is select the wrap around text box, and then what you're going to need to do is just adjust your spacing here, and this is the white clear space that you're giving from the picture that you're saying, okay, I want to clear 0.125, linking everything so it's affecting the whole sides of the image, top, bottom, left, and right. If you don't want all of the sides, just unlink this and then adjust, you know, say you don't really need it on the left side, so you can kind of bring that in, and everything else will stay the same. But that's how you will get clear space around your type. You don't want that type to be too close to that image, because it's just going to be really, really hard to read and just not looking very professional. Okay. But I'm okay with you guys doing it kind of how I have it here as well. If you kind of playing around with the type and it looks better this way, that's fine too. I'm a little flexible with that. Excuse me. All right, the back page here, just make sure you don't have a folio on the bottom, and make sure that your address is down away from the fold. The fold is probably about, well, it's half of this layout, so it'd be 5.5. That's where the fold would be. That's where the newsletter would be folded to mail. So you don't really want the address to be right on that fold, right? You want it to have a little bit of a margin space so that it's not being affected by the fold. And then some of you, I noticed, the address may have been really big in type point size. Just make sure you're keeping that as the same as your style sheet for your body copy. This is kind of what I set mine to. So 11 point type is how I have mine. Some of you were like 14 or 18. So just kind of be mindful of that. And then a lot of you guys did great with placing the article in there. That's always the easiest part, right? All right, so the inside spread is here. It's ready for us to start. So what I would do is just kind of go into that folder that's given to you guys, that assets folder. Open up your, I don't know why I'm coughing, guys, sorry. Open up the, let's see, what is it? Get more out of your study time example. So study time would be the Word file I would open first. A Word file, and then you're going to, and again, this is typically how a project will come to you from a client. They'll give it to you like this, especially publishers. You know, I worked on several magazines, 3 or 4 different publications in Ohio and Tampa, and this is the basic way that they give information to you. So they give you a Word file of the article, you copy and paste it in. Sometimes they provide you with images, sometimes they don't. You have to find it on your own. Oops, sorry. Share my article. But that's pretty much how it's given to you guys if you're working on projects. All right, so I'm going to take the type tool with that copied, and I'm just going to drag out like a type box, just a general one, the size of the margin space. I'm going to do Command V or file place. So this is going to be a longer article because this one is a double page sprint article. So it's going to have a lot of copy. Just make sure you're setting that copy up. with your style sheets, you're going to go up to your window, styles, pull up your paragraph styles. And the ones that you set previous for your page 1 and 4, you're going to set this the same. So body copy would be pretty much where you want to start. All right, now once you set that, just kind of bring your copy box down because we know we want a picture here. Let's take a look at our, it's always good to go back and forth with your examples so you kind of see where you need to have your images placed. So pretty much 1/3 of the way down is how you want your image, and it's going to go from the left to the right margin. You're going to have your subhead up here, and your headline up here. You're going to have 3 columns for your body copy. You're going to have a drop cap for your first letter. You're going to have subheads in here, and then you're going to have bullet points with another image. Okay, so with that being said, I would just focus on getting that body copy in there. Get your column set. So there's different ways to do this, and I showed you this last week as far as your columns. We can either do the columns this way where we're selecting the copy box, going up to Object, Text Frame Options, changing your number to 3. And I hit Preview so you can see the changes. Now you have to adjust your gutter in between here to match what you have set up here in your margins. So right there is my gutter. I'm just going to pull that out a little bit so it's 0.25, and now it matches that, so that works. So you can do it this way. And then, see at the very bottom, there's a little red box here. Let me zoom in. That little red box, that's telling me, hey, you got some more type here, but the box isn't big enough to show it all. So this is kind of, as a designer, you want to keep your eyes open for this, especially when you're working for a publication. You have several different articles. Things are changing, shifting. People are putting in ads, shifting ads out. You know, sometimes copy gets lost. And these little red boxes, you really don't want to see those before you go to print, because that just means there's copy missing here. It's hidden. It's not being shown. So when you see that little red box, we just want to make sure we're showing the rest of the copy. All right. By the way, I didn't go over, you should probably file save this as, and we're going to do this assignment 4 before you even start. I apologize. I'll save it as assignment 4. Okay. Now, going over to the right side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to drag and pull out this copy box, left and right margins. And I think for this one, it is, let me go look at the example here. Okay, 3 margins is set as well. So we're just going to go up to Object, Text Frame Options, do 3. Same. And now we want to link this box with this box. We want whatever is being hidden under here to be flowing into this box. So just click on that little red box one time, and you'll know you have it because this little link will show with some of the first 3 lines of verbiage, and just click right into that box. And anytime you shift, watch what happens. This first column, say if you pull this down even further, it should flow into this, whatever is kind of remaining that's bumping down here. There's another way you can do this without, and I think this is the easiest way to do it, but I'm going to show you another way just so you know that you can try this too. Let me go back to one column here. So you can draw these individual copy boxes, but like I said, it's just a little bit more work. And it's just, you know, you just draw out the text boxes here with the type tool. And you would just do it with the margins here. And it's just a little bit more added work, I think, because now you have to link this box to this box, and then this box to this box, and then this box to this box. The only nice thing about this is you have a little bit more flexibility. If you do have some weird ads coming in here, you know, you have the adjustments of, say, like here, if you have a photo, and I think we're going to be doing that too. You know, you can pull these up and have a photo. Unless you do a text wrap, you can implement that as well, where it's not, you know, going to affect the photo. But, you know, I guess there's pros and cons to it depending on what you're doing and the page work that you're working on. But there is, you know, a couple ways that you can go about that. Let me go back to the other way that I had it. So I think that was just a little easier. There we go. Any questions about that? I just want to show you both ways so you know. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 ways to do the same thing. All right. All right, so kind of notice that the headline here is right on the very top of this article. So we want to take that, copy that, Command C, and delete that out. And then take your type tool and draw out your own little type box and go ahead and paste it above here. That way you have more control over it outside of this box. I showed this the last time on another headline that we did. And then now we can go ahead and choose headline in our paragraph style so it's consistent to our headline on the front. Go ahead and align that on the very top margin. And now take your rectangle frame tool and go ahead and draw a box out from the left and the right margin close to your top headline. Do Command D, File Place. And we're going to grab that picture that goes with our study time. So it should be studytime.jpg. And again, we're going to fit it in here because it might not be quite, might be zoomed in a little bit too much. So we're going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately, and it will center it for us as well. Okay, I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. All right. Let's go back and take a look at our example. Like I said, it's always good to go right back. Looks like the headline in the example is a little bit bigger than mine, but I'm not too worried about it because at least I have consistency. The next thing is the drop cap and then our subheads that we have to worry about. Another thing to take note is your spacing in between. See how there's like a space in between here? I'm going to show you how to adjust that in your copy so that you have that done automatically in your body copy without actually putting a physical space in there, like a return. That kind of keeps it more consistent too. And I don't think I showed you that up here. I think I actually put a space in here. So we'll fix that in a second in my body copy master style sheets. All right, let's first do the drop cap. I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to just select that S and then see here, go to my paragraph style and then choose my drop cap. Okay. Hopefully you guys have that set up right. A lot of you guys did a great job with that. Just make sure it's dropping down 2 lines into your text. It's not being indented anywhere here. Right now, see, just want to show you here, there is a space here. So there's an actual return here. I'm going to show you how to adjust that so you don't actually have to have a physical space in there. The only thing that's confusing about this is you have to actually take that space out before you apply this next thing that I'm going to show you here. So go to your paragraph styles and you're going to double click on your body copy. And you're going to go to indents and spacing. Can you guys see the paragraph style options box just so I know we're on the same page here and you guys can see it? Can you see this panel box? Great. Okay. So see where it says, that's okay, you're yelling at me again. See how it says space after right here on the right? I don't know if you guys can see where I'm pointing. What we want to do is we want to make sure that you're not doing space before, but space after. And let's do preview here. Watch how, I don't know if you guys can see this. But we're going to do a space after, and we're going to set it to 0.125. Click OK. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure you delete the spaces in here. See how there's extra space here? But what it's doing is when you set that, it's giving you consistent space throughout, where anytime that you have a return or after a paragraph, it's giving you that 0.125 space. Now, we're going to change this because we don't want the subheads to have that space in between. We want this to be right up against that. So we're going to select our subheads, and we're going to choose Oh, we don't want that. We want, I thought I had one in here, but I guess I don't. Okay, we're gonna have to create one. So we're gonna go, oops. We're gonna go up here to the options box, say new paragraph style, and we're gonna name this subhead body copy. We want this to be pretty much the same. The only difference is, and I'll look at the example here, we want it to be maybe 1 or 2 point sizes larger. We want it to be bold. Maybe do like a 12 bold. And then we want the color to be red. And then where it says indents and spacing, we want to take this out. So we don't want to do, wait, 1, 2, 5. We want to take that to 0. Click OK. Now, don't forget, you have to go back to your, what you wanted to set that as and actually select that paragraph style that you just created for it to kind of apply. Now, it's kind of not giving that color. So what we need to do is make a character style. New character style. We're going to name this subhead copy red. And that's going to change it to red. Okay, so it's almost like a 2-step process there. All right, so that's the first subhead. The next one is, let me pull this over so you can see. Your environment matters. So now we already have everything set up. We're just going to choose those options there, and you can see kind of making those changes. The next one is schedule matters and then learning matters. It's kind of nice once you get all this set. It's almost like it does all the work for you without actually going and doing it manually. Delete all these spaces out here. Character style, subhead copy, here we go. All right. Any questions about that? I'm gonna save it here. Let's go back to looking at what you need to do here in the example. I like to flip back and forth, make sure I'm on track here. So I put the space after. The only thing I noticed is my copy is blue. I'm gonna need to change that here. For some reason it changed to blue. I think that was the drop cap. Actually, let me go back here and change that. Paragraph styles, we're gonna do body copy. Something changed here. Why does this look like it's blue? Let me go back to my color. It is blue. I don't know why that changed. Okay. Let me go back to my character styles and I'm going to use drop cap. There we go. It still looks blue to me. I don't know why. Let me zoom in. Yeah, it does. Huh. Why is that blue? Get back to my paragraph style body copy. Black. Very interesting. Let me just make sure I don't have a, that's why, because I had a character style set on that. All right, so what you want to make sure, if you're running into the same issue, just make sure you don't have a character style set, because right now I have a character style newsletter name. Just go to none, and that brings it back to, oops, to the blue, or I'm sorry, to the black that needs to be. I didn't realize I had that set. Oh, we figured it out. Hold on, I see somebody. I just don't want to change my my subheads here, so I have to make sure I'm just selecting my body copy and taking that to none.
I can't see your screen.
Okay, let me see. Can you see it now? Let's see. Oh, okay. I forgot to share the screen. I'm sorry. So what I was showing you, I forgot to flip back. My apologies. What I was showing you before is I was selecting my copy and I went to my character styles. And what happened was I had this newsletter name changed to newsletter name. So it was showing my copy here as blue. So I just needed to go to none in my character style. So go back, it went back to blue. I'm sorry, black. So that's kind of what was going on there. So if you notice, yeah, that any of your copy is turning blue, you might want to check your character styles and make sure you don't have that set in any other than a none setting. You don't really need a character style on your body copy. Let me see if I think my copy up here might have changed too. Let's see. Yep. Same thing. See how it's blue? See how the newsletter name is selected? So I just need to select none and it goes to black. I never noticed that until now, so kind of interesting. Now, I also have this extra space here. You noticed it? Okay, there you go. I have to delete this extra space now that I kind of played around with some things here. See, you guys are good. I can pull this up, put my text frame on here. I thought it was your eyes. Yeah, it's like so close in hue that definitely can be missed, but I'm just gonna pop this up a little bit so I don't have a weird, let's see here. Spacing on this. Now I have some spacing issues here I need to just fix. It's because I was hitting my tab key. Now that I put that 0.125 spacing in there, I need to adjust this part. That's kind of what I'm doing here. All right, let me pull this up a little bit. So it's all about massaging the type, making sure you don't have any weird, this is all messed up now. Any weird breaks, any widows, like right here, see where project and then it has a hyphen, it goes up to the next column. You want to do a shift return so that doesn't happen. That just pops it up to the next column. If you have a widow like this, you want to make sure you do some soft returns to bump down so you don't have a one word on the last line. It's just a kind of like typography no-no to have that. Now I'm just kind of deleting out my tabs here. It looks like I need to set this back to none as well. Just kind of look at your type. If you have any weird, hyphens, you can fix, like right here. If I was working on this newsletter, I probably would adjust this so that the ES would bump up possibly. So let's go and I'll show you kind of how to do that real quick before we go back. Go to your character panel. And you can pull this in, your kerning, your tracking. Right now, I would have to go to -20. Typically, you don't want to go more than -5. So I would say this is probably a no-go. So I'm going to just set this back to 0. And maybe I can play around with this where I kind of bump this down a little bit, depending on what I have going on up here. So there's different ways that you can do this and massage it so you don't have a weird rag going on. You want it to be smooth. And the rag is on the right side here. If you see how this kind of makes this really weird space here, definitely try to get that fixed. And that's just all about shifting things so that it looks a little bit better. So I'm just doing a shift return, deleting some of my tabs. Ooh, not my letter. So many tabs in there just to kind of smooth it out a little bit so it's not so bumpy looking. Some of the things you can't really do much for, but you don't want to have one word on the last line. You don't want to have one line above here that's a orphan, from one column to the next and then having it end here. It's just hard to read. This is okay to have 3 lines. That's perfect. Just so that this is balanced out too. I can probably bring this up a little bit. This kind of bumped down too, so I kind of have to pay attention to that spacing in here that I changed. Go back to change the character style. Just changed everything. Go to none. Looks good. And then I just adjust my box of my photograph in here. And in there a little bit. Okay, I just double clicked right in there. When you double click on your image, you'll see the image, the original size in red. So you can kind of use I'm using my little right and left arrows on my keyboard to kind of adjust it. And as long as you have a box that you're setting in, that blue box is your bounding box, you can kind of set it in there the way that you want it. All right. Now, with that being said, the only thing I need to change is see these bullet points here. I think in the article example, these were indented. Yes, so let me show you that real quick. And I will remember to switch back here after I show you. See how it starts the new paragraph. There are ways to improve, and then you have the indentation of the left indent here with the bullet points. I believe we already set this in our style sheets on the top part here where this starts. So we should have that already saved in there. So all we should have to do is select that part that we want to affect, have that indent on, go to paragraph styles, and it should be named something like, let's see here, table contents, contents list. I should have named this a little bit better here. It's not that. Let me go back and see. Did I put, maybe I didn't make a style sheet for this. Oh yeah, I didn't, huh? I should probably do that though. I thought I did. I might be using an old file that I'm giving you guys this demo on, and I might not have added that on there. So I'm gonna just select that bulleted, I think I did do this for you guys the last time we met. I'm gonna do new paragraph style sheet. I'm gonna name this bullet point. I did do this the last time. For some reason, it's not showing up. Has the tab in there. Yep, perfectly set in there. Click OK. And then bullet point. All right, so now all I need to do is go down here. Bullet point. Now, I have to put the tab in there, remember? You have to put the tab, so it won't change it automatically. You have to go in there and actually put tabs in there. I'm going to do a shift return so I can bump that down. Oops, this is a weird. Shift return this because it has a hyphen there. Shift return. Shift return is just a soft return. And I would probably bump this word shift return can down so you don't have one word there. Tab, tab, oops, tab, tab. Let's go back here. Okay, so I have to adjust this because I have a widow going on here. Let me take out my tabs. This is the only part that's a little bit, be a little frustrating for you guys. Because, you know, once you kind of get the feel for it, how to shift, return things, and then tab, and then get those spaces out per needed, shouldn't be too bad. Now, see how I have a weird space here in the second column? Nothing quite aligns. It aligns, but the bottom is missing on this second column. So we want to shift this so that we're not having that happen. You get to delete the space out of here too. So what I would suggest is I would probably pull this down, this copy box, bounding box down, so that you have, now you don't want this either where the subhead's there. So I probably would pull this down either a little bit more or maybe pulling it up. So let's see how much type we have on the right. All right, so this is just the part of just, you know, kind of massaging everything here. We have room, so I'm going to pull this down even more. We have a lot of room on this side, so I'm just going to pull this down even more. And just make sure I don't have any weird widows happening. I'll resize this to frame. This looks pretty good. We also have an image that needs to go in here. Let me show you the example again so you can kind of remind yourself of what this is supposed to look like. Okay, see how this is here, and then there's an image here we need to place. Your environment matters. Okay, so we're going to go back here. Let's do that first before we start changing everything, shifting. I might have to shift that back. So let's take the rectangle frame box and let's just put a square here, so the size of what that picture is. Do Command D, go to your study time 2, and place him in there, object fitting. Hopefully I'm sharing the right thing here. Let me go back. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to put a text wrap. So remember how I showed you that before? Either go to the panel text wrap or up here. We're going to put a text wrap on here so that we have at least 1.25 around the image so we don't have text going behind here. Double click on the image to kind of shift this. We can kind of put him more into the middle of the page here. It looks like there's no image to the right and left, so I'm just going to have to keep it like that. All right, now this looks pretty good. It looks like the subhead bumps up here where that should be with the actual copy box here, but I'm just going to leave that here because it actually flows really good. I have even amount of space almost here, so I'm okay with that. If you have yours like this, that's fine too. I think in this example, my type is much smaller than the one given to you guys in the example. So the one in the example, the type point size is bigger so that you can tell that, you know, there's less space kind of being left over here. I might even want to occupy a little bit more space. I'm going to pull this down and see what I can do. That looks pretty good. Bring this down a little bit more. This kind of fills a little bit more of the area than what's shown in the example, but it works. And you have 2 lines up here, and that's okay. It's a little bit more balanced. I don't have as much white space down here. I can always kind of work that out. Check out my rag here, kind of work some things out. Shift return, see if I can get anything kind of bumped down here. That looks pretty good. There we go. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, I have to zoom in here. I'm just doing shift returns, gaining more space here. Let me zoom in because I'm kind of not knowing where my text tool is clicking here. There we go. Bump this down. I might even want to bump this down. Okay, so I gained some space here. Some of this is a little weird. Let's see if I can bring this down. What you want is a nice kind of even out rag without huge gaps going on. Sometimes that's hard to do. You don't want words without supportive text underneath on a line. So what I mean by that is, see this word you, it's not being supported by the text, any text below it. You don't really want that unless it's on the very last line, obviously. So you want to kind of shift that down. But look, I'm going to have a problem here too. So I'm going to shift return right before is that way. And that's okay if it's the last word on the last line before the next line. But that's kind of the thing to kind of pay attention to. If you have it within the other lines, that looks pretty good. Just something to kind of be mindful of. That's very detailed stuff to kind of look at. Okay, space gap. So it's a text wrap. So I'll show you here. So let me undo this, the wrap here. So right now my text wrap is set to 0. So this really can go over the type here and not really affect it. So you're going to go to text wrap, which is under window, text wrap. It also shows up here in your panel box underneath your essentials up here. Once you get that panel box up, you can adjust your space here. If you have this, this little chain link selected, it's going to make all the settings here the same and consistent, so you can see that space being apply the clear space. That's the text wrap. It's called text wrap, but it's around the image so that the text wraps around it. Got it? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the text wrap. Good. All right, so we basically, let's go back to the example again. We did this pretty much almost similar, just a couple differences. See, this is what's bad in the example. They actually have an orphan up here. See this last line up here? This is a no-no in type. You don't want, especially on a second page, you don't want another paragraph to end, the next paragraph to end with the last sentence. It's just really hard to read. It's just not a good thing to do. So we want at least 2 lines of text. You don't want the orphan happening there. All right, and then they have a widow down here. So this is actually a bad example to show you guys. This is the one that's provided in your package file. Just make sure you're aware of the orphans and the widows. All right, so now you're going to do a pull-out, highlighted pop-out article called Healthy Snacking. And we're going to apply the image, the subhead, paragraph style, the drop cap with the bulleted points, style sheet, and then another image. Don't forget that you're going to do a box with the blue color in it, pretty much similar to the same hue, pretty much should be the same as the Cyber Aware tip to keep it consistent with a red box around it, or stroke. So what you could do is just actually go up here, click on this box and do an Alt drag, and that gives you a copy. You can copy or drag it down here so that you have the same exact color, same exact style, and just kind of drag this out so that it's bigger and align it with your margins. That's what it looks like. Oops. All right, with that being said, this is gonna be almost, well, let's see. It's gonna have 1 column of text at the start of the paragraph. So I kind of have to be mindful of that. So the first paragraph, and let's show this again so you can see what I'm talking about. You have the headline. This is a headline, not a subhead. So the image, headline, drop cap, first paragraph is going to be 1 column, so 1 column length across the 2, and then you're going to have the 2 column. So I'll show you how to do that. So basically, you're going to go back to your assets folder because you need to get that, that Word file here. And that is, let's see where that's at here, Healthy Snacking. So there should be a Healthy Snacking Word file. I'm going to open this up and show you. Open that Word file up. See this? I'm going to select all, copy. Go back to your InDesign file. Take your type tool. And what I would do before you do anything, actually, if you have your rulers up, see how I have rulers in the vertical and horizontal? If you don't, go ahead and go up to View and Show Rulers. What's nice about this is you can click with your selection tool, click in between that ruler, vertically or horizontally, and pull out your margins, margin guides. These are for you. So I would make it pretty much a similar space in between your gutter here. And I would just drag out your guides. And this will kind of be where you align your type box, your image, kind of keep it all very similar in space. I just did the vertical and horizontal. So see this blue line here? I'm kind of going to leave this as my margin in here, and then I'm going to align it to these blue lines that I just placed in here. So I'm going to take my type tool, I'm going to draw a copy box to kind of match this area and just do a Command V. Do it here, hold on. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this down for now because we wanna put in our image here. So I'm gonna take the rectangle frame tool and go ahead and draw out my box, do Command D, go to my Healthy Snacking original image, object fitting, fill frame proportionately. And it's up to you on how you want to do this. I'm actually going to pull this out. So I'm going to do a copy and delete so I'm not affecting my type here. You don't have to do that because it's so close to this, but I'm just going to do it this way. And then I want to go to my headline. Now the only difference between this headline and the one that I did above and all the other ones is this one is actually should be centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a duplicate of this and just give it a centered alignment. So once you select headline, I'm going to go up here into the options panel. I'm going to say duplicate style. And I'm going to name this headline 2. And where it says, let's see here, indents and spacing in the alignment, I'm going to choose center. Click OK. And it'll center my headline there. I don't think the other headlines were centered. Let me see here real quick. No, the other ones are left justified. All right, so you will have to have a second. I don't know if that was actually meant to be like that. It seems like it should be very consistent, but that's how it is in the example. So there you go. All right, I'm going to zoom in here. So what we got to do is the first paragraph of type we want to be 2 columns, and then the bulleted points need to be 2 columns. 1 column for the first paragraph, 2 columns for the bulleted copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select this information. I'm going to copy and take it out of here completely. That way I have 2 copy boxes to deal with here. I'm going to draw another copy box. Again, it'll be the 1 column width. Just paste that in. And then I'm going to go up to Object, Text Frame Options, and change this to 2. Oops, let me go back up. I need to adjust my gutter space. Oops, not that. What am I doing? There we go. Cancel that. I don't have this aligned right, do I? Yes, okay. Let's do this again here. There we go, 0.25. Sometimes you see this little red box, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's type. There could be spaces, so I'm going to delete those spaces in there, and that little red box will disappear. All right, now I'm going to make sure that I have body copy set for this. And I have body copy set for this, and my body copy doesn't have that character style on it. So let's go to character style, none, character style, none. And now I'm going to select the S for the drop cap. Okay, pull the headline down a little bit. And let me see the example here. Thomas is the last one. Okay, so now we have to apply the indents. So select all, and then we're going to go and choose bullet point. Now, even though it's bullet point, we don't really have a bullet point, we have numbers, but we have the tabs set. Doesn't mean it's actually going to give you a bullet point, it's just the tabs are set so that we can indent it, tab it over. Okay. Oops. Some weird stuff going on here. All right, I'm just tabbing. Oops, just deleted that. This might actually happen to you too. Just do a shift return, tab over, and delete that space out. This is one of the things you just have to get used to with the tabs and the spacing and all of that fun stuff. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull this. How did that other, let me look at the example here. Whoops, what am I doing? Dip, yeah, actually ends here, which is kind of a weird end. So maybe I'll just bump this up to a shift return. Where'd it go? Where am I at here? Here we go. Right in front of dip to bring that up. We have some weird hyphens going on here. We can fix. There we go. Shift return, shift return. And now we can take our box rectangle frame tool and do a Command D. Go into Healthy Snacking 2, Image in your Assets folder, Object Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. And then you can double click in there and kind of center her as needed. Go ahead and flip back and forth with your example and see kind of how close you got to it. It looks like in the example, the image is a little bit bigger, or longer, I should say, and at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and put a text wrap on this. And I'm going to pull this up closer to that copy. And align the top with the copy on the left there. I'm going to zoom in. So it's a lot of massaging, getting that in there so that it's equal. I think that, is this it? Number 5. Let me make sure I have all the copy in here. Great. Yes. So it's a little different than the example shows, but we're getting there. Do shift return up here, shift return here, shift return right here. Just kind of get that down. Yeah, I see that. Actually, might be trying to sync up my stuff there. Good eye, though, for sure. We'll take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Let me zoom out. Not that far. We'll take a look at that. That's a good note to bring up because, you have to be mindful of that for sure. She's bringing up the little error message down below here that we need to take a look at. But let me show you the preview here so you can see what we just did. All right, so that's pretty much what you guys need to do. Bring this up a little bit to align it with the top. But pretty much, I mean, get it to what you need. It doesn't have to match perfectly with the newsletter that is shown to you because, you might not be using the same type size. The one thing that Janitra just brought up is just kind of being mindful of any type of red arrow down here. There's the 2 arrows. If you want to, go ahead and click on that and say pre-flight or define profiles. You can do a pre-flight. It's going to kind of tell you what's going on here, what the 2 errors are. Looks like overset text. So if you double click on that, it's going to show you where that error is. And it's telling me here that, there's something bumping, which is my text wrap. So how to kind of avoid this, because we really don't need a text wrap on the top here, right? Just go to text wrap, unlink the link, and then see the top part here. We just set that at 0. See how it just kind of snaps back. Okay, the other error, which is kind of nice that it tells you this. Here, let me go back. Is another text frame issue over here because I changed in my body copy. This is giving me a different look here. So I'm going to go back to my paragraph styles, body copy selected, go back to character, make sure none is selected. And it, because I put that space after, and I do have spaces after this, all I need to do is go back with my type tool and just delete those spaces out and do a shift return. because it's just the address. And we're not really doing subheads there. So just kind of pay attention to that. Now it says no errors. It's green. It looks good. So if there's any type of linking or text wrap issues or text going behind something or typography issues, not linking, syncing, it's going to show you that error down there. And all you have to do is click on the actual little down arrow and choose pre-flight panel, and that will come up to show you kind of what the error is. And if you double click on the error and which is listed, it'll take you right where it's you know, kind of showing you where the error is. Any questions about this? Any questions at all? Go back to the all right. All right, so let me show you how to package this. Yeah, that's the only, it's a little tricky, and that's why I had to make my type a little smaller. She was asking, Luz was asking about the baseline alignment. So if you're, you know, if you want to follow this ratio, because, you know, if you try a different size, it might kind of be a little weird. So I'm going to go to my paragraph styles. I'm going to go to my body copy. And what you might want to set, mine's Times New Roman. I set mine at 11-point size type by 12-point leading. This will be a good size and ratio for when you put that baseline alignment on there. It won't give you all that all that space that's shown. So you want to go to indents and spacing and then align to grid all lines. And what that does is you'll see all of your baselines will align. So I'm pulling down this little guide to show you how they all align. No matter what, it won't shift. So if you had two different columns and they were set with the baseline grid alignment, they're not going to shift at all. It's going to snap to the baseline. So you won't have any type of shifting. Now, if you had this type body copy set any larger in point size, larger in point size, larger in leading. I'm going to show you what it looks like. That's probably what happened to you, right? So you have to have the right ratio, point size and leading. Now, that's why, you know, when I go down to 12 leading, it gets a little crammed in there. You could do, a good ratio would be 10 by 12, but I think that's a little too small for this newsletter. So I would do 11 by 12. So I'd like to have more leading in there, but I think because the information given to you guys, the better it'll match up with that point size and leading. Just don't forget, you know, any type of article like this, the body copy should be similar to that. Even if you have your bullet point type set in a different paragraph style, they should all have that alignment too selected so that you don't have anything kind of shifting out of alignment. Anything else that you guys have questions about, or before I show you how to package? That was a really good question. I saw a lot of you guys have issues with some of the baseline shifting, and I did make mention to that. And it is kind of a little difficult to, you know, revise, especially when you guys were given specs on what the type size should be and it doesn't quite work. So that's kind of my suggestion for you guys on what works for this newsletter. Good. All right. Okay, so if there's no errors, everything looks good, you're ready to go. You can even preview this here in preview mode so you can see what it looks like without all the margins and lines and bounding boxes. Everything looks great. You know, go ahead and look at the PDF that was given to you guys, kind of look at that and then look back at yours to make sure everything's pretty similar. If there's like big gaps in between some of your subheads, you need to adjust that. If the spacing isn't quite right, I mean, way off, you need to definitely, adjust that too. All right, when you're ready to go, obviously save it, but then you want to go down to File, Package. And this is basically just a summary of all the fonts, images, and stuff that you use. Just select Package, hit Continue, and know where you're going to save it. So I'm going to go on the desktop and make sure, this is the important part, that all of these are checked, including your PDF. You can have the smallest file size selected, and then select Package, and that'll go to your desktop. Google email won't let me send documents. Yeah, I mean, as long as you can send it to me. I mean, I don't care if it's a Dropbox link, Google, whatever, however you can get it to me. You're talking about Gmail doesn't allow you to send documents? Because that's what I usually use to send attachments and everything too. Okay, so when this is, I'm going to share my desktop here. So I just saved that packaged file onto my desktop. So let's go ahead and take a look. Oops. All right, so that is actually right here. And I just have to do a control click, compress, or go up to File with it selected, compress. And then this is the file that you're gonna submit. Oh, weird. That's really weird. However you can get it to me, like you can put it, do you know what Dropbox is? If you can submit your work to the Dropbox and then send me the link, however you want to do it, that's like kind of like an external hard drive, or I guess kind of like a cloud storage. Okay. So Dropbox is a free kind of, let's see here, free backup. So you can put your stuff on there, you can back it up. Let me show you where it is on here. It's free, just sign up for it. And a lot of people have this to share documents. These are the documents I have here on now. I'm logged in, so it's going to look a little different than you. But what you do is just sign in. It's free. You have, a certain amount of memory space in here. Then choose upload, upload your file. And then once you do, you'll see your file in here after you upload it. So it'll be the zipped file. And then when you want to share it, let's see if I can actually, should be a share option. You just hit share, and then you can put my email address in here with a message. And then once you share it, you can create a link. It'll give me a link, and then I can click on it to download from your storage. It's kind of a nice way to share things, to keep things, to back up your work as well. Say your schoolwork. It's almost like a hard drive, but it's online, if that makes sense. Something to definitely get to know, because a lot of designers use that. Yep. And that way you're not worrying about actually attaching a file to your email. You're just sending a link to me. So then when I click on that link, it takes me to that Dropbox. So then I have to download it. All right, so if you have, that's a good question. You have PC. And I just did a quick Google search here because I don't have a PC, but it says here, locate the file or folder that you want to zip, press and hold or right click the file and folder, select or point to, send to, and then select compress zip folder. A new zip folder with the same name is created in the same location. And I just Googled that. So, I always think that you can, I know I'm more of a Mac-based instructor, and I understand a lot of you guys too do use PCs. So if you run into that problem, just try to, you can ask me, that's fine, but you can also try to problem solve it yourself, in this regards. But hopefully that helps. I apologize for it. Usually I say, both aspects of how to do things, and I forget sometimes that some of you guys use PCs. Okay, did it work for you? Did you try it? Okay, so you're just bringing that up. Okay. All right, the next thing that I want you to do, good idea to bring that up because you just never know, is I want you to, before you actually send that zipped file, open up that PDF, make sure that PDF that's in that folder, and I'm going to open it up here. Because sometimes, we look at it and like, oh, here we go. I just noticed a mistake. I got to go back and change it. What's the mistake here? Can you guys see the mistake? See, I already kind of went and checked my PDF, and now I say, oh, before I send it, I got to fix this. What is it that I need to fix? You guys see what I need to fix? It's not in printer spreads. So my second and third page aren't side by side like a double page spread in my PDF. It's fine in my InDesign file. So if I go back, let's go back to the InDesign file. Yep, remember how I said I was going to show you guys that? Now that's something that might happen when you create your PDF, when you go to package it. So you'll have to be mindful of that. So what I want you guys to do is if you see that happening, go back to your InDesign file, go File, PDF Presets. Smallest file size is fine. So I'm in InDesign. File, Adobe PDF Presets, smallest file size. You can save this on the desktop. And see where it says Spreads here? We want that selected. All pages, Spreads. Click Export. That's all you need to do. So now, I'm going to go check that PDF, and we'll show you the difference. See the difference there? Now I can see your first cover page of the newsletter, double page spread, that's how it should look, and then your last page. It's just nice seeing it this way. I can see your folios working good, everything's flowing right. So then, if that's the case, and probably will happen if you choose that PDF file for package, it won't give you the option to choose spreads. So just be mindful of that. You're going to have to go back and save it again as a PDF. Then go ahead and I'm going to throw away the zip folder because it's not right. Double click on that package folder and just get rid of that PDF. This PDF is the vertical one that just doesn't have printer spreads in it. And I'm going to drag and drop this one inside before I compress it. I'm going to compress it. So now this file in here is right. So it's always good to kind of double check your PDF and your work, especially in this case, because you just never know. Any questions about that? Anything, any concerns, anything you want me to go over? You guys had some great questions so far. Okay. It's good. Hopefully that'll go as smooth as it kind of went for me. If not, like I said, I'll be here tomorrow night if you guys have any questions. Let's go ahead and look at your assessment 4, because that's the only thing you have left once you go through your discussion, your assignment, and your career integration quiz. A lot of this stuff is in your readings in your supplemental resources, in your course material. So you're going to have a final exam. It's going to be 35 points. You're going to identify and match 10 basic tools to the description of their use in InDesign. Identify and match 5 InDesign panels to their functions. So panel box is what they're talking about. Create a new document in InDesign and insert text frames and images. Know how to do that. Identify and apply the 4 basic principles of design, so CRAP. Define and apply the 5 basic elements of design: shape, line, texture, color, value. This quiz is based on week 1 through 4's live sessions, readings, and videos. There's a total of 14 questions, and the quiz is not timed. So you guys have some, can sit and really think about that, not under pressure or anything like that. But it is worth 35 points, so definitely take it. You don't want to skip that. And if you want to brush up, again, a lot of the material is in your, live sessions and course material that's given to you guys. Readings and videos. All right. And like I said, if you guys, I know I have a lot of you guys that have missing work, late work, need to revise for evaluation. Make sure you're getting that in as soon as possible so that I'm grading that and nothing, it's kind of nice to have it as soon as possible so I'm not doing it at the last minute right before final grades are due. But, sometimes it happens that way too on your end, as long as you're getting that in for some credit. All right, so any other questions, comments? I'm gonna wrap it up here because I went over a lot of information and I think you guys need to digest this a little bit, get going on your projects. Okay, and like I said, I'm gonna be, the last multi-session is tomorrow night, this same time frame. So I will be logged in. If you have any questions, concerns, you're stuck, come on in and I'll just be logged in and I can help you out. All right, so with that being said, I appreciate you guys coming in, listening to me every week. It's great to have you guys. I can't believe this is like the last, I guess, week of the mod, I should say. So hopefully I'll see you guys in future classes. I do teach a lot of the upper classes as well. Yeah, and stay in touch. I will be posting my contact information in announcements. So if you guys want to stay in touch with me, you can do so. All right, guys, have a great night, and I'll be seeing you guys around. All right, good night.